So we're here in St. Louis, Missouri at Central Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And right next to me is house drummer, Mr. James Jackson.
Yes.
How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Oh, man, just happy to be here. This is a
great.
beautiful church you guys have.
Oh,
and,
yes, lovely establishment, yes.
And so James was talking a little bit about the needs that he has as a player, as a band member, and also some of the needs that the church has when it relates to music. So, James, can you elaborate on a little bit of some of your needs and the band's needs and also the church's needs?
Well, ultimately, some of the needs that we have is just walking into a space, being able to sit down and to play, focus on playing, because in the church setting with music, that is like a prime focus. It's high energy, and you cannot focus on if this cable or if you're bumping into something. You need a space that's just focused on your instrument. And so I really need a space that's decluttered, not a lot of stands, not a lot of junk around. And the band, we ultimately, they need me to focus. Because
you're leading the band.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to think that, you know. But in the church, you know, the drums are a driving force, and it's the driving instrument, and we need that focus, and the band needs it. I'm confined in a small area due to sound constraints in the church to control volume, and so we got a roof on top of the drums, and it's an actual drum room. And
you got a sound barrier.
Yes, sound barrier. And so in that space, I operate iPad, electronics computer to control tracks, loops, and stems that we play along with.
Okay.
And it's a lot going on back there between me operating, watching the director through the drum shield, and just trying to stay focused and keep the ship moving. We have, I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 band members. It's 7 of us, full rhythm section, and man, yeah, it's quite a lot going on.
Now, since you guys have a choir, you know, you've got the pastor, you've got, you know, the band. Now, you guys being a, you know, 6-7 piece band, that's a good sized band.
Yes.
But you guys only have so much space to deal with on the stage.
So much space, yeah. We're in this look. We're pushed over to the side, and it looks like it's space now, but that's because nobody's sitting there. But yeah, once the people get there, I'm telling you, it's full over there, and we're all together.
And it looks like that, you know, one of the bigger issues that all drummers face when you're playing out is volume.
Volume.
You know, like you can't be blowing everybody else out in the room, otherwise it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll see people, when I see people do that and put their fingers in their ears, it cracks me up. Because I'm not really a hard-hitting drummer, but you do have to adjust to the setup. And if it's loud or if they're pushing, you got to bring a little bit more energy to push as well, especially in church, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, as a player, are you playing everything that you would like to play on that drum kit, or are there limitations to what you can use?
Well, ultimately, I would like to add more, another cymbal stand, another cymbal or two. I would love to have more on my right side of playing, but, you know, due to space constraints in the drum room, because I got to be in that particular space, to get another stand in there is work. To position and to maneuver what we would need to do is just a little bit more concentrated than we can focus on right now.
Well, you know, since the drums are driving the band and you guys are so fast-paced and energetic with the music, you can't be worried about thinking about, you know, am I going to be able to place this cymbal in a comfortable spot to where I'm going to hit it and it's not going to throw me off for everything else?
Yes.
So I have a solution for your setup, and that I believe will work with the church, will work with you. It'll solve everyone's needs. And it's a rack.
Oh.
Big shocker. But what's going to do is it's going to declutter everything on the floor. Yeah. You're going to be able to put all your mics up on the rack. Mm-hmm. We're going to be able to add a lot of room for expansion so that when you want to add those extra cymbals, maybe some extra electronics down the way, that you'll be able to do so.
Cool.
Very, very, very easily.
Wow.
So that drum room is not going to feel as small as it does right now.
Wow. Cool.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Let's get into
man.
it.
Yes.
All right, so we completely finished the setup. Now what we did was we added the GCS 450C, which is a 4-post, 3-sided curved rack. Now, it cleaned up all of the chaos that was happening on the floor earlier with all the tripods, all the microphone tripods. So now that's pretty much, that's only on the ground are the rack feet and then all the cables. And then we got our hi-hat stand and snare stand. So that's pretty much it that's on the ground. So it really cleaned this place up a lot. So let me kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what we added to the setup to make it change a little bit. So what we did was we added a laptop mount for James's laptop that he's going to be right here controlling some of his electronics with. Then we have our hi-hat mic that we use the Gibraltar cymbal microphone adapter. So this little guy just threads right over the 8mm tilter, and it turns your cymbal arm right into a mic stand. So we've got his hi-hat mic there, and then we also have his snare mic'd directly off of the same cymbal adapter connected to a cymbal arm. We got it boomed in perfectly for where his snare is. Then we have his 2 overheads mounted directly off the same little mic cymbal adapter. Now what I had to do was, since his overheads were a little bit higher, I needed to get a little bit more height on our boom arms. So I used the accessory shaft extender, the 7/8 inch, which gives me 18 inches of lift, so I can get my boom arms a little bit higher than they would allow me to get if I was just connecting it to a rack. So right here, we've got our legless snare stand, legless hi-hat stand connected directly to the rack. This is the 9707 NL DP, and I just used the extender arm with a rotating grabber clamp to connect it directly to the crossbar. This is the SC-EA100. And then what's really cool is we also cleaned up the tripod from the snare on the ground by using a legless snare stand, and I connected it to the front leg of the rack using the Stealth bent bar, which is a 30-inch bar with a little funky bend in it that allows you to go over a double pedal arm if you play it. So if he ever chooses to play double pedal, then he's got the ability to do so. Then we move over to the right-hand side. Well, before I get ahead of myself, we separated the toms from being mounted on the bass drum mount. Well, that kind of inhibited him to play exactly how he plays on his personal kit because of the positioning of the bass drum mount. So by separating them and placing them on the rack, he was able to basically mimic his personal gigging setup, which is much more comfortable for him. Then we have, I mentioned the right overhead, and we mounted our ride cymbal directly to the right side wing. We've got our right main crash, and then we were able to add a secondary right crash, which he might end up being like using a stacker or something there. This might be just a placeholder. But as you see, it's broken. I think he might be adding another cymbal to it. But anyways, gives him another toy, another sound surface to play with, and he's still got plenty of mounting space to add more cymbals, more electronics if he needs to. Plus now, he's got a spot right here with this back leg to put a GoPro mount so that he can film himself playing. So I've showed you guys what this thing does visually. Now let's see James take it for a ride.